Welcome to hyperCAD S. This video will describe the creation of solids using the commands in the Shapes, Features, and Booleans menus. We'll start with the Shapes menu. All of the commands in the Shapes menu pertain to surfaces, but the linear sweep, rotational, and create solid commands can be used to create solids from surfaces. The linear sweep command creates extruded faces from the selected curves or boundaries. The solid option will collect the surfaces into a solid. You can have an open solid without bases or a closed solid with bases. The rotational shape command also has an option to create a solid body. Your profile must be closed in order to add bases and create a closed solid. The Create Solid command will create a solid body from the selected surfaces. In this example, I have an imported model that consists of 887 surfaces. Once the faces are selected, the min and max accuracy values will be populated. Then you can choose to show those areas if you wish. In this case, there are no open edges, so I'll go ahead and execute the command with the Create Separate Solids option. You can see now that 11 solids have been created. Keep in mind that if you have overlapping or intersecting surfaces, you may not get the desired result. In some cases, you may have gaps between some of the surfaces. And you'll get a warning saying this will be an open solid. The open areas will be highlighted, and if you choose, you can create curves from the open areas that will be assigned a tag of the specified name. You can assign a tolerance for the size of permissible gaps up to a max of 0.2 millimeters. Once your tolerance exceeds the size of the gaps, your warning will go away and the solid will be considered closed. If you have a solid with gaps in it, you can show the problem areas with the check quality function. The commands in the Features menu allow you to alter a solid by adding or removing the specified shape. The linear protrusion will add a protrusion to a solid. It works just like the linear sweep, except that the new shape will be united with the solid to which the selected face belongs. If the curves are not planar, you'll get a warning saying so, and you must specify a direction other than normal. If the curves are planar, and the direction is normal, and both sides is checked, you have an option for mirror mode, which will mirror the shape about the plane on which the curves lie. The linear slot command is similar, but will subtract the shape from the solid. If the shape separates the solid into multiple pieces, the multi-solids option will create separate solids. If the profile is open, as it is here, you must specify the cutting side. Everything in the direction of the arrows will be cut away. If the profile is closed, the inner portion will be cut away. The rotational protrusion command works just like the rotational shape command, but it adds the rotational shape to the solid. The rotational slot feature will subtract a rotational shape from a solid. If your profile is not closed, you'll have to specify the cut side with the invert option. Now let's cover the hole feature. The Position tab is where you specify the location of the hole. Select a face and specify the center position by point, parameter, or distances from two edges. When using two edges, the distances are calculated on a reference plane. If both your edges lie on the same plane, the reference plane will automatically be populated. If the edges do not lie on the same plane, you must specify the reference plane, and the edges are projected onto that plane. The direction of the axis can be normal to the selected face or specified with the direction options. If working at angles or near adjacent walls, the distance from face may need to be changed to fully exit the solid. The Definition tab is where you specify the feature parameters. This dialog matches the whole feature dialog in HyperMill, and the parameters here will be recognized by HyperMill. I can't go through all the options in this dialog, but I'll create an example to show how it works. There are several options for the shape of the bottom of the hole. For example, the tip will allow you to specify a drill point angle. You'll get a preview of the hole on the model and a dynamic preview here. Clicking on a dimension here will bring the cursor to the corresponding input field in the dialog. I'll add a sink on the top of the type counterbore and specify the diameter and depth. And I'll add another counterbore on the bottom as well. And we'll execute the command to create the hole. The pattern command allows you to multiply features in a solid or an entire solid to form a pattern. I'll show an example of a hole pattern. The count is the number of multiples. In linear mode, you need a direction and a distance. The shifted by field will incrementally shift the pattern by the specified distance or angle. In angular mode, you define the axis to rotate about with a direction and a center, and then you specify the angle. That defines the first set. The second set tab will multiply the first set by distance or angle. The count is the number of multiples. We'll do an angular pattern at 60 degrees, and we get a preview of our pattern. The More Options tab allows you to suppress specific copies in the pattern. I'll suppress a couple to demonstrate. And execute the command. Let's move on to fillets and chamfers. The dialogues for these features are exactly the same as the fillet and chamfer shape commands, but the shape commands create surfaces only and cannot be used to modify a solid. The dialogues are the same though, so I'll just show a brief example of each. First, the fillet feature. You can specify individual faces, in which case you can enable or disable the options below, and you may have to invert a face direction to get the desired result. This may be necessary in an open solid, but in a closed solid you can just select an edge, and the options down here are all enabled. The chamfer feature is similar, but creates a chamfer of 45 degrees, two distances, or a distance and an angle. The last feature is the zone feature. This function groups together multiple faces within a solid. They are then recognized as a single feature that can be selected, patterned, moved, or mirrored. Now let's cover the Boolean functions. The union command will join multiple solids into a single solid. The Keep Original Solids option will keep the original solids and create another united body. Multi-solids will create separate solids if there are separate areas. The Difference command allows you to subtract solids from one another. You're only allowed to select one body for A, but B allows for multiple selections. Then you choose whether you want A minus B or B minus A. There are options for Keep Original Solids and Multiple Solids, and if separate regions are created, you can choose which regions you wish to keep. The Intersection command creates a solid from areas that multiple solids have in common. You have the same options here as you do in the Difference command. The Split command will split a solid using another solid or a surface. Select the solid, select the splitting element, and you have again the same options here. And finally we have interactive mode, which allows you to execute any of the Boolean functions in a single dialog. That's it for our introduction to solids in hyperCAD S. As always, please refer to the Help menu for more information. Thanks for watching.